Yes, y'all. From the new Dave Campbell's Texas football mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a show that was doing a big wind-up. You didn't see it.
It completely fizzled.
I was waiting. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the places, or you'll listen to the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks, Miss 305, celebrating a big day because it's
Thursday. It's Thursdays. That is reason to celebrate.
Ashley Pickle.
Howdy, friends. Thursdays is always a day to celebrate.
Thursdays always hits. I think we all agree with that. Today is Thursday, September 12th, 2024. 77 days till Thanksgiving. You're running out of time.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Tahid K. Epps. Tahid K. Epps turns 47. You may know him as Drench God, or you may know him by a name I can't say on the internet.
Yeah.
Or you may know him by the word name that most people know him as, 2 Chainz.
How about that?
Happy birthday to 2 Chainz on this very special day. My microphone is being weird.
Maybe you're weird.
Good. What'd you say?
I said maybe you're weird.
You know what?
Don't be hating on my equipment.
On today's show, folks, it's a Football Thursday. It's a big Week 3 preview edition of Texas Football Today. We'll be rolling out my top 10 Texas high school football games of the week. Tough choice this week, but one person had the courage. Then we will be talking with the head coach of the 2-0 newly state-ranked Liberty-Eylau Leopards. Coach Brad Willard will join us live on the program to talk a little bit about their 2-0 start and a big game this week against a small Panola County program.
Bet you can't name them.
I forget. We'll talk to him. Then, back half of the show, the picks, my high school football predictions for Week 3 of the Texas high school football season. We'll round it all out. We'll end the show in style. I think you could agree with that.
Oh, of course.
We will end the show in style by talking with Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, about all things football across the Lone Star State, including Texas's big showdown with UTSA.
Chung Chung.
Is that who they're playing?
I don't know. Yes. Yeah. No, it is. I do know that.
I think that's right. Anyway, we'll talk Craigers coming up here in the back half of the program, so stick around with us. And then we'll round it all out with we'll round it all out with mailbag final thoughts. So if you got questions about high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel, get them in the comments, Facebook and YouTube. We'll get to a number of those at the back half of the program for your health. Do we have first 4 through the door?
We sure do. It was TJ Hudson, jersey number 69, big jiggly water balloons, and Aaron Arbuckle. Welcome in, fellas.
Oh, there we go. My headphones were messing up.
Would you get it together in there?
Okay.
Can you act like we've done this 1,798 times?
Yeah, episode 1,798. No.
Well, we did
Do you know what the problem is?
Absolutely scramble in here.
Do you know what the problem is?
That's where it's meeting Thursday.
Once again.
I dare you.
My existence.
Women talking football.
WTF.
Someone put that on wax. That's the bane of Tepper's existence is women talking football. Cut that with no other context.
The show, to be clear.
No. There's no going back from the bear trap that you just put yourself in.
Not. I'm
Cut
in the
that.
right here.
Someone give him that to me.
Nope. I'm just saying, you guys move all the stuff over to the side set.
Yep.
And then you just leave it over there.
The bane of Greg Tepper's existence are when women talk football.
That's not what I said.
That's what I heard.
Not what I said. Anyway, that's why things are messed up around here.
Why was that?
It's because of WTF. Anyway. All right, Pickle. Week 3 of the Texas high school football season is rapidly approaching at a really dominating and concerning speed.
Fair.
And there are games across the state. In fact, I have this number. There are. Would you care to guess how many Texas high school football games there are this weekend?
It's week 3, so it's not big bye week yet. Let's go 597.
You know what? You're gonna be shocked.
What?
729.
Holy cow.
We're still eating.
Yeah,
We're still
Lord have
eating.
mercy. Next week we'll take a. Next week, my guess might be more accurate.
I want to say the big bye weeks are
4 and 6.
4 and 6, and then the 6-man ranks. Like week 8 is like everyone's off.
Yeah.
because it's a lot of 4-team districts.
Yeah, 4 and 6 are pretty standard.
Next week will be a little bit tougher to put together the list of top 10 Texas high school football games of the week, but not this week, baby, because week 3 of the Texas high school football season is absolutely loaded. I've put together my list of the top 10 Texas high school football games of the week. Let's roll them out, starting with number 10, Byron Nelson and South Lake Carroll. This game at Dragon Stadium on Friday night, and a lot going on here.
Third meeting in 12 months?
Third meeting in
Which is split, by the way. Byron Nelson won in the regular season.
They did. So that's a lot of the reason why this is so intriguing. You may remember that last year, Byron Nelson upset South Lake Carroll and won the district. And, look... we talked about it on Tup and Step, which you can watch tomorrow live on tape at noon. Byron Nelson beat South Lake Carroll to win the district last year and beat them pretty soundly. I want to say they beat them by like 2 touchdowns. Like, it was not fluky. They were the better team. And then Byron Nelson did some end zone dancing afterwards, and they were very celebratory about that win. And I don't think South Lake Carroll forgot it, because they handed them a big receipt in the playoffs, in the regional final, and they crushed Byron Nelson in the regional final. So here is the tiebreak, and it is a District 4 6A opener. It is fascinating to see, especially Byron Nelson coming off of a real big, exciting win over Louisville last Thursday, live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Can Byron Nelson slow down the running game of Davis Penn and Riley Wormley? Can South Lake Carroll get pressure on quarterback Grant Bizjack? Can they contain Leo Almanza out wide? A lot on the line here in a District 4 6A opener. Beyond the emotions of it, this is a fascinating ball game. Number 10, Byron Nelson and South Lake Carroll. Number 9, Munster and Windthorst. This game up there in North Texas, and I love this game because
almost every year.
Every year it's great. Munster is a team that last week lost to Holiday, but I thought, Matt Stepp and I were talking about this, they lost 49-35. I come away really encouraged by that. That offense has really gotten going in a big way. And look, Holiday's a 3A team. They were punching up significantly, and they looked the part of like, hey, you know what? Yes, we are a team that is smaller, but we are going to be able to hang with a bigger team. And guys like Kason Carney, their quarterback, were absolutely outstanding. Now taking on a Windthorst team, newly ranked, and looking very good as well. Coming off of last week, where they really beat Wichita Falls City View, which is a good 3A team. They were able to do that. Awfully impressive there, and I thought their defense really stood up. And furthermore, what they've been able to do offensively, especially with their sophomore quarterback, Brock Belcher. They have another Belcher out there. Keep an eye on this game. Really intrigued by the way that this sorts out, and I think that this is going to tell us a lot about the way 2A is shaking up there in North Texas. Munster and Windthorst, my number 9 game of the week. Number 8, Wimberley and Austin LBJ.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
Fascinating Central Texas clash. Wimberley, steady as she goes. Not a whole lot to see here. They're a really good ball club. Cody Stover, who they're a 3-year starter now. He is so good. He's just so good. And
on dual threat, he's like actually. Sometimes we say like, oh well, like he can run. Like no, he does run.
No, he is a runner.
Yeah,
like he is a runner, and also is a great passer. He's so good. And then LBJ dropping down a class or dropping back down to 4A where they should have been the whole time. They're actually coming off of the very rare week 2 bye, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this. This is a big step up in competition. They beat Sam Houston in week 1, really with no problems. This is going to be a big test for them, I think, especially defensively, is can they contain Cody Stover? And then on the other side, like we're going to find out so much more about LBJ and whether or not they are, in my opinion, a legit threat in 4A.
Because they really haven't. I mean, they had the week 2 bye, and then they played a San Antonio team that just didn't.
Yeah, San Antonio, Sam Houston, exactly. So
wasn't equal playing.
Exactly right. So I'm really, really intrigued to see if how LBJ and Wimberley shakes out in Central Texas. So that's a game I'm keeping an eye on. Number 7.
It went away, but now it's back.
So back. Carthage and Liberty-Eylau. We're going to talk with Brad Willard, the head coach. Whoa, well, now we're ruining the surprise for number 6.
No one saw that.
Carthage and Liberty-Eylau. We're going to talk with Brad Willard, the head coach at Liberty-Eylau, here coming up here in just a moment. I think I'm buying in on Liberty-Eylau.
Okay.
Maybe not to win this game.
No.
But just overall, holistically, I think I'm in, and I'll tell you why. I think that what they did last week, going on the road to Henderson and coming out with a gutty win, I think is really impressive. Mm-hmm. And their offense has been dynamite. Trip Basinger, their quarterback, has been great. They've got a number of receivers out there, including DeQuain Prevo, who went off last week in their win over Henderson. They're for real. Carthage also had the week 2 bye. This is winless Carthage.
Wild to say.
0-1. How much have they changed? I do not think it's been a fun couple of weeks in Panola County.
No.
I think they're itching to get back on the field and get that taste out of their mouth. Really interested to see this game because I think Liberty-Eylau is good enough to beat them, especially at home. Mm-hmm. What kind of adjustments? How much has Carthage grown, especially on the offensive side, which is such a problem in their opener against Kilgore. Now, Kilgore's a good team. We'll find a lot more about Jet Surratt and company, that offense, and what they look like against a good Liberty-Eylau team. Fascinated by that ballgame. We'll talk with Brad Willard coming up here in a moment. Number 6, Glen Rose and Brownwood. Yeah, I like this game a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This game is tasty.
This is Central Texas tasty.
This is tasty stuff. I'm really interested in this game. Glen Rose, of course, kind of quietly a 2-time state semifinalist and has been excellent all year long, so far. They are a team that we love Coach Sammy Burnett, what he's been able to do there. They are also coming off of they had their opener. Remember, they played Allen Wiley, and I think it got weathered out somehow. But they played Wall last week and won 17-7. Defense stood on its head. Can the offense find a way to match wits with Glen Rose? Because we know one thing about Glen Rose, they gonna score. Mm-hmm. Okay, they gonna score. They have been absolutely outstanding offensively to start the year. Love what they're able to do. Like just reload offensively. They found Canyon Evans. I'm putting him on Dudes Rock watch.
Yes, that's fair.
Canyon, I reserve the right to upgrade that to a warning. But Dudes Rock watch for Glen Rose quarterback Canyon Evans. Can they get it going against a good Brownwood defense on the road? Fascinating ball game and a great venue there in Brownwood at Gordonwood Stadium. Great game. Into the top 5 we go. Number 5, Stratford and Sunray. And speaking of Dudes Rock, this is the Dudes Rock Bowl.
Yes.
This game.
Dudes have never rocked harder.
This is obviously, as I mentioned, this is not the best game of the week. But This is my favorite game of the week. Okay? And let's just cut to it. You have 2 of the brightest stars in 2A on the same field at the same time. Mm-hmm. In Stratford do-it-all star Bryce Braden and Sunray quarterback Armando Luan. This game rocks. It's also interesting because these are 2 teams that were each state semifinalists in 2A, and then they swapped divisions. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm just so fascinated by this one. I want to see if Sunray can find a way through this Stratford defense and what they do with a problem like Bryce Braden.
Yes.
This game, so good, so good. And this is, again, another Texas high school football sicko heat check. Mm-hmm. Like, if I tell you Stratford and Sunray and you're like, that's it, that's the one that I want, then you're one of us.
Well, we will have highlights of this one on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight.
You are damn
courtesy
right
of our friends at the Stratford Sports Network.
You're damn right we will. Fascinated by that one. Number 4, East Bernard and Ganado. We're going to talk about more about this in the picks, so I don't want to really belabor the point. Ganado, the number 1 team in 2A Division 1. East Bernard off to a 2-0 start under new coach Jeremy Jenkins. To me, this is a question about how far along the East Bernard transition from the slot T to the spread is. Mm-hmm. Everything else will kind of flow from that, but that's the real question. Are they...
Can you imagine the shell shock being a senior trying to do that?
Yeah, and then be like, hey, you're going to go out wide. You're going to I go out where?
Where? I thought I went in the middle.
I didn't know that there was a wide. East Bernard and Ganado. We'll talk more about that in the picks coming up here in a moment. Number 3, Gunner and Salina.
Gunner has just put themselves through the ringer.
Both of their non-district death marches continue. So we talk about Gunner, right? Last week they punched up significantly, played a 5A team in Anna. Remember, they played a really good state-ranked private school team in the opener, and now they play Salina. But let's not act like Salina's walked some sort of like cakewalk. Mm-mm. They opened with Belleville, and then they played at Waco La Vega. Like, they have been punched in the mouth significantly and come out on top. How healthy is Gunner? I know they've been a little nicked up defensively. They will need to be very good going up against the Salina offense, which is just going to run the damn ball. Mm-hmm. That's what they do, big offensive line, and run the ball. Absolutely interested in seeing this. Again, I'm from a Gunner perspective, I'm not entirely sure how much you take out of it, but I want to see what that run defense can do against Harrison Williams and Logan Gutierrez. The other thing about this, and this is just, this is an impossible standard for Gunner to live up to, but I would like to see a little more juice offensively. Through 2 weeks, their offense, I know they're playing really good teams. Mm-hmm. That goes without saying. The offense has been okay. It's been okay. I want to see a little more juice offensively. Fascinating game in North Texas, Gunner and Salina. Number 2, Refugio and Edna. Big week in the Coastal Bend, if you couldn't tell. Big week in Jackson County, actually. Mm-hmm. Edna's coming off a really impressive win over Bay City. And Braylon Harris is the new name to know. We wondered what they would look like without Jaden Clay. Well, now they just plugged in Braylon Harris and turned that up to 11. He's been great. Refugio, 2-0 under new coach Drew Cox. The real money matchup here is the Refugio running game with Jordan King and Ray Lewis going up against the run defense of Edna, which was so good last week against Bay City. There's also a big test for the Refugio defense to deal with the kind of athletes that they will eventually have to deal with when they get into the playoffs. Big game there, Edna and Refugio. But it is not the number one game in the state this week. No, sir or ma'am. It's Atascocita and Austin Westlake.
This is big, beefy football.
I mean, this is everything you want, right?
It has to be. 2
great teams, right? 2 hot teams, especially Atascocita. And let me tell you something about Atascocita. If they go back-to-back with a win at Katy and at Westlake, that's the most impressive resume in the state. They would have wins over Houston Lamar. I know Houston Lamar's down this year. They graduated pretty heavy.
They were number 23 in the rankings.
State ranked.
You can't go in there and overlook them thinking, they're Houston Lamar.
No, we're not. We're not going to play. We're not going to do any sort of revisionist history here. Mm-mm. At Katy and at Westlake in consecutive weeks, crown them. Mm-hmm. Crown them non-district champions.
Yes,
doesn't mean anything. But crown them. Carde Mack and company, Torrey Blaylock, the offense really got humming last week against a good Katy defense. Now they get to level up and play one of the best defenses in the state in Austin Westlake, led by Tony Salazar, their head coach, a defensive mastermind. This is also a really big test. This is the best quarterback that Atascocita has seen. Reese Wise has been spectacular. Absolutely dripping with intrigue, especially on the road. Mm-hmm. Decent little road trip from Humble to Austin. This is a fabulous, fabulous game, Atascocita and Westlake. It's my number 1 game of the week. Of course, you can watch dozens. I mean that. We did 60-something last week.
We had almost 70.
Almost 70 last week. It's almost 69 of them. Texas high school football games last week. Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Go to texasfootball.com/subscribe to watch dozens of live Texas high school football games, including a couple on that list. Dave at TexanLive.com, TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a subscriber. We are Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up here in just a moment, we will talk with the head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Leopards, Coach Brad Willard, who has them state-ranked and eyes set on Carthage. But first, a word from these valued partners.
Hot days. Call for cold coffee. So grab great tasting community coffee, make your favorite cold beverage, and get your chill on all season long. Family owned since 1919, Community Coffee has spent 5 generations roasting blends right here in the USA. Shop now or find it near you at communitycoffee.com.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wing's drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Back here on Texas Football Today. It's a football Thursday, getting ready for week 3 of the Texas high school football season. Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's welcome in the head coach of the state-ranked Liberty-Eylau Leopards to Texarkana. We go to talk with Coach Brad Willard. Coach, how are you?
Pretty good. How about y'all?
Doing excellent. How are things in Texarkana?
Just great. Another day.
Well, it is another day, and it's a good day to be a Leopard. You guys are off to a 2-0 start after last week's thrilling win on the road at Henderson. You're new to the program, and obviously coming in, you never know exactly what you're inheriting. Through these first 2 weeks, what do you feel like maybe you've learned about this team? What do you feel like maybe you know about them now that maybe when you took the job you didn't know?
I think the biggest takeaway so far has been their eagerness to win. They've been wanting this. They've been wanting to taste success, and just having kind of, some fresh faces in the program, I think has gone a long way. But their eagerness to want to be good and work to be good has been what stood out so far.
This is a program that, you're taking over. It's your first year there at Liberty-Eylau. And you had a good thing going there at Tyler Legacy. You were very successful in your time there at Mount Vernon as well as the head coach. I know that, how do I want to say? I know there have been opportunities for you out there to be a head coach. Why was Liberty-Eylau the right move for you? What was so attractive about this particular position?
A bunch of things stood out. I've kept up with Ellie for a couple years. Coach Hall is our offense coordinator. Ellie graduate in 2014. He was in Waco with me. So I've kept up with Ellie for quite a while, and he was with me in Mount Vernon, went to Legacy. So I've kept up. I've known just the pure talent that Ellie has. And then getting to talk to different people around here, Mr. Wright, the superintendent, kind of getting in conversations with him. I knew the people making the decisions, the important decisions for the district, were in the right place. So a lot of attractive parts of the job.
Talking with Brad Willard, the head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Leopards here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Coach, one of the things that has really stood out to me about your ball club in the first couple of weeks has been your QB1, Trip Basinger, a guy who has been razor sharp for you. I know you're a guy who likes to get your quarterback going, and he's really the straw that stirs the drink. The numbers are impressive. I watched some tape on him, and he seems like a well put together young quarterback. But as the guy who gets to see him every day in practice in the locker room, what is it about your QB1, Trip Basinger, that really makes him special?
Well, first off, he's smarter than me, so that helps. He makes me feel a little bad about myself sometimes, but he is just the leader on the field. Everyone trusts him with the ball in his hands. You mentioned just kind of his stats. His completion percentage is really high through 2 weeks for the style of offense that we play. So on top of the fact that he's the smartest kid on the field, tough, his numbers just speak for themselves. And if he continues to do stuff like this, the sky's the limit for where he can go.
And then I do have to ask you about a guy who I believe is up for Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his first name, but DeQuan Prevost, is that correct? DeQuan Prevost. He had a whole dang season's worth of stats last week in your win over Henderson: 10 catches, 258 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This kid, an unbelievable performance last week. And through two weeks, he's been outstanding. What is it about him that has him playing at such a high level?
Yeah, I mean, just pure talent obviously goes a long way. So he's really fast, and that works well for our offense. And what we saw last week against Henderson was the ability to make people miss. I mean, he had one deep ball that was for about 40 yards down the field. And then after that, the longest throw that he caught was about 12 to 15 yards down the field. So he accumulated a lot of that run after the catch.
Brad Willard of Texarkana Liberty-Eylau joined us here on Texas Football Today. And Coach, let me ask you about the other side of the ball. On the defensive side. Last week, Henderson, high-powered offense, they got theirs, but overall, your defense has been able to make plays when they needed to. What have you seen from your defense in the first couple of weeks?
We have a lot of young guys that are stepping up to the plate and making a lot of tackles. A couple to name. Malik Stevens, sophomore, playing some linebacker, just makes all he does is make tackles. He's around the ball. He's aggressive. A couple defensive linemen, couple secondary guys that haven't had the opportunity to play before, and they're stepping up to the moment. And even last week against Henderson, we're forcing turnovers, getting timely stops, and just playing hard.
And Coach, I do have to ask you about tomorrow night. The good thing is you're at home, and you have some notable visitors coming into town. Carthage, obviously needs no introduction, does that program, but also notably a team that knocked this Liberty-Eylau program out of the playoffs last year. I know you've been in the lab, and I'm not going to ask you to give away your game plan here on the air, but when you take a look at the Bulldogs that are coming to town tomorrow night, I'm curious what you see.
I see a pretty decent football team. No, I'm kidding about that. I mean, they're obviously really good, real well coached. All the stuff that everyone knows about them. Offensive line and defensive line really stand out. The running back is better than advertised, and I think he's advertised pretty well. Mm-hmm. So, they just have a lot of top-end talent, and their offensive line and defensive line keep them going.
Finally, Coach, I do have to ask you, I think people may know this about you, but you are a Baylor Bear, former Baylor Bear running back, and, of course, Cedar Park Timberwolf. We like to make sure we shout this out here. I am curious, give me the state of the Bears address here from a former Baylor player, Baylor letter winner. How are we feeling about the Baylor Bears these days?
Man, this is one of my first times to be able to do it, but I'm obviously a Coach Browse guy, so things are a little bit different for me and what's happened over the last couple years. So I can proudly say I have no idea how the school in Waco is doing.
He's Brad Willard. He's the head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Leopards. Coach, we sure appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the fantastic start, and go get them tomorrow night.
I appreciate it, and thank you all for all y'all do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. There he goes. Brad Willard, head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Leopards. Join us here at Texas Football Today. Fascinating ball game. Again, Liberty-Eylau on the rise. They are punching up. It's worth noting. I don't know if I've mentioned that. Oh, there it goes. I don't know if I've mentioned that. They are punching up from going from their 3A team hosting a 4A Division II team. So they are punching up. Mm-hmm. But a team that I've really got my eye on. I think the first two games have been really, really impressive from them, and I want to see, especially on that defensive side, which did get touched up a little bit by Henderson last week. Mm-hmm. Can they make the shore up against a Carthage team that has their own offensive questions to answer? Right.
I was just going to say, this is one of those games that, say Liberty-Eylau wins or keeps it close, what does that say more? Is Liberty-Eylau better than we ever would have thought that they would have been up to this point, or does it say more about Carthage potentially being down? It's like it's a push and pull that's hard to figure out.
Yeah. Anyway, we appreciate Brad Willard hopping on with us. We are Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com. Talking
you got it right.
In the Lone Star State. I'm working on it. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. Of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. A reminder, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Wherever you're watching this, and on TexanLive.com, you can watch Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Our Friday night hang. Ashley Pickle, Ishmael Johnson, and myself whip around coverage of the biggest games in Texas high school football, dropping in live to games all across the state.
We just party.
It's just a party.
If you want to come
there's
party.
There's no script. It's unscripted.
Literally.
That's not true. We have a rundown for the first 3 segments, and then I think
So 30 minutes of script,
and then I think the D block just reads football.
Oh, yep.
Anyway, Texan Live tomorrow night. You can watch Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Join the tens of thousands of folks who are watching Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight each week. Go there and for your health. It'll be fun. All right, Pickle. Week 3 of the Texas high school football season is upon us. Big games all across the state. Vianney Moreno has once again edited this video. Thanks to her for her courage.
That's a lot of courage.
But here is my predictions for Week 3 of the Texas high school football season here on Texas Football Today.
Week 3 of the Texas high school football season is here with massive heavyweight matchups in every corner of the state. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks, your guide to the Texas high school football weekend. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and welcome to the 3rd week of the 2024 Texas high school football season. And we've already seen through the first 2 weeks absolute unbridled chaos. Everywhere you look, there are upsets galore, and it makes, honestly, our job here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football more difficult in one way, in the sense that doing our rankings on Sunday is an awful chore, because you got to figure out who beat who and what it means and stack them all up. But also such a joy, because you never know what's around the corner. That's the great thing about Texas high school football. It is so unpredictable, and I think we're in for an even bigger week in Week 3, which includes some district games that are starting. These non-district games have been fun, but all of a sudden, things are on the line. There's a lot of stakes. You can figure out exactly how this relates to the playoff chase. These games matter now, and that's going to make it all the more exciting. There are massive games everywhere you look across the Lone Star State. We start in Jackson County. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Indian Stadium in Ganado. It is a state-ranked matchup of unbeatens as the East Bernard Brahmas visit the Ganado Indians. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number 1, the Brahmas makeover. So one of the more underrated stories of the offseason is what's going on at East Bernard this year, as Jeremy Jenkins comes from Gilmer Harmony to take over for Wade Bossy there as the head coach at East Bernard. And you're probably thinking, why do I care? What's so special about that? There are literally hundreds of Texas high school football coaching changes every single offseason. Yes, but there is not this kind of schematic shift, because what you are seeing at East Bernard is pretty remarkable. You see, East Bernard for years has run the slot T, a hard-charging, misdirection-based offense that keeps the ball on the ground about 90+% of the time. When they throw, it's basically a trick play, right? Now, with Jeremy Jenkins, they're transitioning to the spread, which is pretty wild to go from that all the way to the spread. And so far, so good for the Brahmas. They're off to a 2-0 start. Quarterback Dan Bartlett looks pretty comfortable, and he's got plenty of weapons on the outside, like Malik Thomas. This is a Brahmas offense that may still be figuring out the scheme, but as it stands right now, things are looking pretty good. So where is East Bernard in this schematic transition? Key number 2, Ganado in the trenches. So Ganado's the number 1 team in the Dave Campbell's Texas Football 2A Division I rankings. It started the year at number 1. We're very excited about them, and for good reason, right? This is a team that was really good last year and also very young, and it's easy to get excited about the playmaking ability that they've got. Guys like Vince Sablatura and Logan Burris, they are pretty loaded everywhere you look at the skill position spots. But what I'm interested in seeing in this game is how Ganado matches up front against a bigger team in East Bernard, because that is going to be more telling about how far they can go in the future. Guys like Carter Kovar and Luke Green leading the way up front in the trenches for Ganado. This is their biggest test to date up front. Where is Ganado as far as the trenches are concerned? And key number 3, close call. So both these teams are undefeated. Both these teams are state ranked. East Bernard just cracked the 3A Division II rankings this past week. And these are two teams that are going to be playing each other for the 3rd time in 3 years. This has been kind of a non-district tradition now for these teams the past couple of years. And each of the last times they've faced each other, it's been a close game. Okay? They've split the 2 games, and they've been decided by a combined 13 points. These 2 teams are pretty evenly matched. Also of note, the home team has won both of those games. Ganado won at Ganado, East Bernard won at East Bernard. This game figures to be close, on paper and historically. So who can come up with those 1 or 2 plays to put their team over the top? Who am I picking? I'm going with Ganado. The number 1 team in 2A Division I gets the nod here for a couple of reasons. One, I do believe that historically the home team has had an advantage in this series, and I feel like being at Indian Stadium is going to give them a slight edge in what figures to be a close game. Furthermore, I also think that their defense, led by guys like Landon Hicks and Logan Burris, is going to be the difference in this one. This is an East Bernard team that I think is absolutely fascinating, simply because of the schematic transition they're undergoing. And the early signs are still very, very positive. But I do think that this Ganado defense has what it takes to slow them down and maybe make that transition a little more difficult. If history is any guide, this game is going to be close and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think Ganado comes away with a very close win. Let's stay in that neck of the woods. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Cowboy Stadium in Edna. It is a 3A versus 2A matchup as the Edna Cowboys take on the Refugio Bobcats in an absolutely blockbuster matchup down there in the southern part of the state. Edna is coming off of a fabulous win over Bay City last week, and the name to know for them is Braylon Harris. We wondered what this Edna team would look like without Jaden Clay. Well, Braylon Harris has stepped up in a huge way, and he is lightning in a bottle, really exceptional to watch. On the Refugio side, Drew Cox is the new head coach there at Refugio, taking over for the retired Jason Herring, and steady as she goes so far as the defensive coordinator has slid very easily into that big chair. They're off to a 2-0 start, and they are running the ball exceptionally well with guys like Jordan King. They're off to a fantastic start, but that is where I think the game is going to be decided. Last week against Bay City, Edna's run defense was absolutely fantastic. Can Refugio find a way through it? That's the real question in this one. I think Edna at home gets the slight edge. Let's go to the opposite end of the state. 7 o'clock Friday night at Bobcat Stadium in Sunray. It is a tantalizing panhandle matchup as the Stratford Elks take on the Sunray Bobcats. And it's a fascinating matchup because these are two teams that each made the semifinals last year in Class 2A, and then they switched divisions. Sunray made the 2A Division II state semifinals. They moved up to 2A Division I in the realignment. Stratford made the 2A Division I state semifinals. They dropped down to 2A Division II in realignment. Just kind of funny how that works, but this is a game that if you're somebody who thinks, 2A, there's no playmakers there, this is a game full of star power, specifically the quarterback spots for Sunray and kind of the do-it-all spot for Stratford. For Sunray, it's quarterback Armando Luan, one of the most decorated passers in Texas high school football history, closing in on the career passing mark. He is a guy who is absolutely dynamite and a guy who can take over the game at a moment's notice. For Stratford, it is Bryce Braden, and this kid rocks. This kid is so much fun to watch. He does everything for Stratford. Get this, he is their leading runner, he's their leading passer, he's their leader in tackles, he's their leader in sacks. He does everything. He is a moose out there, and he's going to be a huge factor in this ball game. What I'm interested in this game is the defenses. These are two teams that we think can each make that championship leap. They're going up against high-powered, electrifying offenses this week. This is going to give us an opportunity to see which of those defenses is ready to take that leap. Right now, I give the slight edge to Stratford, but I think this game's going to be a lot of fun. And let's head to the DFW Metroplex, 7 o'clock Friday night at Dragon Stadium in Southlake. It is a District 4-6A opener as the Southlake Carroll Dragons welcome in the Byron Nelson Bobcats, and this game is dripping with intrigue. Of course, it's a district opener, so it matters a lot, but flashback to last year, right? Southlake Carroll was upset in district play by Byron Nelson. It was a massive win for Byron Nelson en route to the district championship. It was a seismic victory for that program. Only for Southlake Carroll to come back in the regional final and get their revenge in a big way and knock out the Bobcats when it mattered the most. So these two teams know each other very well, and they both have reason to not particularly care for one another. For Southlake Carroll, if you are thinking about your grandfather's sling it around style of Dragon offense, I've got some news for you. This team is ground and pound because they have two absolutely outrageous running backs with Riley Wormley and Davis Webb running behind a big offensive line. Coach Riley Dodge is deploying this running game in a very, very dynamic way. Going up against a Byron Nelson offense that actually kind of looks like the Southlake Carroll teams of old, specifically quarterback Grant Bizjack and wide receiver Leo Almanza, both of whom went off in a scintillating come-from-behind win over Louisville last week live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. This game is going to be a lot of fun, and I think that what it comes down to is how well this Byron Nelson defense can slow down the running game for Southlake Carroll. I think that's the real question in this one. Right now, especially at home at Dragon Stadium, I think Southlake Carroll is your favorite. But those are far from the only big games in week 3 of the Texas high school football season. Let's get to the lightning round. I like Goliad over Vanderbilt Industrial. Give me Klein Kane in a close one over fellow unbeaten Klein. And I'm going with Bridgeland to take down Fort Bend Ridgepoint. I like Midland over Amarillo. Give me Munster in a close one over Windthorst. And I'm taking Brock to beat Aubrey. Paris stays hot with a win over Van Alstyne. Give me Pleasanton to take down Jourdanton. And way out west, I like Canutillo over El Paso Burgess. Sudan's offense stays hot with a win over Ropes. I'm going with Waco Connolly to take down Grandview. And Salina outmuscles Gunner. I like Waco La Vega over West Orange Stark. Wall gets by Jim Ned. And Dripping Springs takes care of Killeen Harker Heights. Huge matchup of unbeaten to open district play. I like A&M Consolidated over Pflugerville Weiss. Give me Abilene to take down Odessa Permian. And Anahuac gets by Garrison. One of the toughest games to call this week, I like Atascocita to take down Westlake. Give me Carthage over Texarkana Liberty-Eylau. And I'm going with Cuero to get by Yoakum. It's DFW versus the Coastal Bend in San Antonio. I like DeSoto over Corpus Christi Miller. Give me Fort Bend Hightower over Port Arthur Memorial. And Franklin beats Lorena. I like Galena Park North Shore over Spring Westfield. Let's go with Glen Rose over Brownwood. And I'm going with Hallettsville over Tidehaven. Harlingen wins a close one over Edinburgh Vela. I think Kilgore stays perfect with a win over Gilmer. And Lake Travis takes down Midland Legacy. I like Laredo Alexander over Bernie Champion. Give me Longview to take down South Oak Cliff. And Malakoff beats Madisonville. There's no hotter team in Texas than North Crowley. I think the Panthers take down Denton Geyer. Give me Port Neches Groves to stay hot with a win over LaPorte. And San Antonio Johnson beats McAllen Memorial. Out west, I like Seminole over Sweetwater. Out east, I like Tatum over Newton. And kind of in the middle, I like Wimberley over Austin LBJ. In our private school game of the week, it's the Holy Bowl in San Antonio. I like Holy Cross over Central Catholic. And our 6-man game of the week, give me May over Rochelle. And those are the picks. What am I wrong about? Which games did I leave out? Leave comments down below. Don't forget that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks for watching. Enjoy week 3 of the Texas high school football season. We'll see you.
There it is, the picks, my high school football predictions for week 3 of the Texas high school football season. Per usual, I guarantee I got at least one of those right. I've got a started the picks in 2015, so I think I've got like a 9-year streak of getting at least one of those right.
I was in high school in 2015.
We're Texas Football Today. We're here twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State, TexasFootball.com for all things football across the Lone Star State. Speaking of all things football across the Lone Star State, Pickle, let's go to the hotline. Only one way to close out a football Thursday.
There's ways.
To talk to the Hall of Famer, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, and the voice of the Texas Longhorns. We are joined by our friend Craig Way. Mr. Way, it is once again an honor to have you on the program.
Hey, I have to know something. What was Pickle? Tell me, what was Tep's reaction? What was his facial expression when you mentioned that you were in high school in 2015?
It was if you're familiar with The Office, it was very much like a Dwight Schrute deadpan straight into the camera would be the most accurate representation I could give you, Craig.
Love it, absolutely. And Tep, what would you say if you were to give a conservative estimate on what your overall record on picks would be? I know you said you get at least one right every week. So what would be a conservative estimate on what your overall record on predictions would be? I bet I'm batting about 700. Do you think that's fair, Pickle? Really?
I think I'm batting.
Yeah.
I think I usually get about 7 out of 10 right. I know I tracked it during the playoffs one year.
I would say 7 out of 10 in the regular season, maybe 65 to 60.
Yeah, it drops a little bit in the playoffs. The games get better.
The other thing is too, to be fair, and I don't like to give you credit, but you pick every single game in the playoffs. That's a lot more games than what you do, I feel like, on a normal basis. So that's automatically going to drop the percentage.
It does take a lot of courage. It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. We must do a little follow-up here. Last week we talked to you about your trip to your impending trip to the Big House. Now you've been to the Big House up there in Michigan. Do you have a review for us? And did you go to a Michigan high school football game?
I've been to the mountaintop, right? It was a wonderful experience the whole weekend. I mean, even let's just pull the game itself away from it and just talk about the environment of the Big House, the 111,000 plus. Fans were very, very cordial, very, very nice, even after the game, that sort of thing. I did not make it to a Michigan high school football game. There wasn't anything really that close around for me to go to. There was one in Ann Arbor, but the team was really, really bad and it was not a good matchup. So I ended up passing on that. But the entire experience was really good. I very much enjoyed it, and I would love to have the opportunity to go back again someday. But of course, Michigan will come here in 2027, so it'll be that.
They'll have that. Well, it was a great call and a great game there with Texas. There is now. I do want to make sure I ask you about this. That it's on to the next one. They are coming home to host UTSA this week, a Jeff Traylor led program that is probably the first time under Jeff Traylor kind of limping in to a game. I'm curious what the conversation has been like on the Craig Way show this week, leading up to this Texas against UTSA game, on Saturday.
Well, obviously, fans are pretty excited about the way things are going so far, and I think, whether it was spoken or unspoken, a lot of Texas fans are thinking, okay, if they could just get over the hump in Ann Arbor, then it's going to be a downhill run all the way to Dallas. Mm-hmm. And Sark would have none of that, and talk about the fact that, UTSA, the old wounded lion thing, and then after that, there's UL Monroe coming in next week. And then they open SEC play, their first ever SEC conference game against Mississippi State on September 28th. All three of those games are before a bye week, and then Oklahoma. All three of those games are also home games. So I think the attention to detail is important. Sark has referred to it as a maturity week. He said, we're going to see how mature this football team is. Can they handle the success and handle the preparation and things of that nature? Now, as far as UTSA goes, Jeff Traylor, of course, is a friend of yours, a friend of mine, a friend of Pickles. He's a friend to all, and he was on my show with me this week and said, this is not something that we're used to, kind of like what you said. But he believes as they get a little older, they'll get a little bit better. And he's supposed to get a couple of offensive linemen back that would help their running game, which would make things a little bit easier for Owen McCown. Now, he made me feel really old and talk about Owen's dad. And when I think about the fact that I called high school games when Owen's dad was playing at Jacksonville, that just added to that for me.
Talking to Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. Join us here at Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. All right, Craig, it's on to high school football we go. And one question I want to ask you a little bit about is the idea of that we've dealt with in especially in non-district about teams punching up a classification. There's some very, some big examples of that. Gunner punching up to Anna, South Oak Cliff punching up to both Duncanville and Galena Park North Shore. I think an underrated one from last week was Munster punching up against a Holiday team. I am curious, when you take a look at these games, which obviously both teams are pretty good, but there is that kind of, let's call it a weight class disparity, how you go about parsing any sort of like lessons from it, because that's one of the things that I know we struggle with when doing the rankings is just like, okay, how much weight? Yes, South Oak Cliff got beat by 38 by North Shore, but what exactly does that mean? I'm curious how you approach it when trying to form your own conclusions.
It's literally and figuratively in some cases a weight situation, because the size of the teams that they're playing is sometimes the biggest determinant. The number one determinant always is depth. Mm-hmm. How many, what is the depth like for, say, a 4A Division II team playing a 5A D1 team, or even that sort of thing? Is it that much of a difference? I think that's where you're looking to see what the depth looks like and what the size of the players looks like. Remember what we were talking about on the preview show about Stratford? Those guys, they can handle themselves, whether they're 2AD1 or 2AD2, because of the size they have, and they have a little bit depth for a school of that size. That's not always the case, as we all know, in some of the middle classifications, 3A, 4A. But then we see the reverse of that. We see a Columbus, a 3AD1, look every bit the part of a team that punches up higher on a regular basis and kind of punched it at Cuero. So there's always exceptions to the rule, but I'm always looking at depth, and I'm looking at size of the rosters and of the regular players who take part in these games.
Okay, so there's a big game down in the Austin area this week, and actually it's a
Which
great
one?
Yeah, there's a number of them. Actually, I'll just give you the floor here, because there's a couple of them. I was going to highlight one of them, but when I said there's a big game in the Austin area, where did your mind go to?
Well, I thought of two or three. There's one tonight. Yep. With Weiss and A&M Consol. So that was one that came to mind. And then Wimberley LBJ. We'll get a little. I think we'll get more of an indication about LBJ in this. I mean, they're the 4AD1 and Wimberley's the 4AD2, but I think we know what a known commodity Doug Warren has in his ball club. So now we're going to find out a little more, I think, about LBJ based on, it was a little bit harder gauge on their, to get a real good gauge on them for the first couple of weeks.
The other one, the one that I was thinking of, was Atascocita visiting Westlake. It's a big game coming down.
It's a small little game.
Small, tiny, itty-bitty little game there. And this, to me, I think this game is absolutely dripping with intrigue and a real measuring stick, I think, for both teams. Atascocita coming off the big win over Katy. I mean, you want to talk about a non-district resume. If they were to beat at Katy and at Westlake in consecutive weeks, I mean, hang the banner. But going up against a Westlake team that obviously is no stranger to winning big ball games at home. When you take a look at this Atascocita Westlake game, I'm curious what your read on it and what you're looking forward to seeing.
Well, I know that Tony Salazar was not happy with a lot of things that he saw in the week one win over Prosper. I mean, he used the Willie Gaston word, sloppy. He used that quite a bit and talked about some of the deal. I also don't know how much of a gauge he could see on improvement against San Benito, to be honest. I'm not sure about that. We'll find out for sure with what we've seen from Atascocita. And you're right. It's this one could be a slobber knocker. So I'm looking forward to that one and seeing how those two get after it.
And finally, Craig, it's the meanest thing we do to each other each week. When I'm on the Craig Way Show on Tuesday, you do it to me, and then I give you a receipt on Thursday. I'm going to give you 3 games. You can only teleport to one of them. Are you going to... And I'm gonna go a little bit off the board here for these 3. Are you going to go to Jackson County to watch East Bernard and Ganado? Are you going to go to the Panhandle for Stratford and Sunray? Or are you going to go to the DFW Metroplex to watch South Lake Carroll and Byron Nelson? Which of those 3 games are you teleporting to?
I hadn't had a good steak in a while. Maybe I go to the Big Texan, and try to put down that 72 ounce, or it won't happen, but I could try, and then go up and see Stratford Sunray, to see Lujan, to see that offense for Sunray, to see Stratford with their size. I think that has a chance to be a real entertaining game. I'll tell you another one. I'm kind of excited when you said Metroplex. I thought you were going North Crowley Geyer.
Man.
And,
live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
Yeah. And so that one also kind of catches my attention as well. So the East Bernard Ganado game also has the intrigue because of they know each other so well. Maybe we get even a better indication of Ganado since they've been in that top spot after that game. But probably I'd head for the Panhandle.
He's Craig Way. He's Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. You can hear him call Texas and UTSA. And if I know Craig on Saturday, the radio call will be chock full of that guy's a Pflugerville-Hendrickson product and stuff like that. Craig, I will see you tomorrow night for High School Scoreboard Live, and then I will listen to you on Saturday.
Drinking game for the first time I say that Owen McCown was a Rusk Eagle.
Yeah, that's going to be, buddy, you're not going to make it through the first quarter. Have a good call, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today. And
then he'll go into the fact that his younger brother, now the quarterback at Gilmer.
Because here's the thing. This has a chance to be an all-time Craig Way game.
Yes.
Okay? Because it's Texas versus UTSA. So two teams that have a ton of Texans on them.
Yes.
Right? A ton of them. And respectfully to our bird friends, I think Texas is probably a considerable favorite in this game.
So you're going to get all the Texas backups.
Buddy, you're going to get penalty kill Craig.
Yes.
And there is nothing like dump and chase Craig, okay?
No.
Nobody has a deeper bag than Craig Way.
You know the meme of Adam Silver when he was like, "Get ready to speak blank." Like, it's literally going to be Craig Way going, "Get ready to speak Texas high school football, buddy."
It really is. It is going to be as an opportunity. Saturday, Texas and UTSA has a chance to be an all-time Craig Way radio call for just like sickos like you and I.
I can tell you who will be the biggest fan of this. Lance Pickle.
Oh, yeah. LP is going to be absolutely locked in. We appreciate Craig Way, as always. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, Mailbag. Final thoughts.
Let's do... How many teams have punched up 2 or more classification and actually won? The 3A level has not a very good, but probably the most impressive showing of that.
I think I can...
3A to 5A?
I think I can answer this. So punching up we're talking 2 classifications.
Yes.
So going from 3A to 5A, 2A to 4A, etc. So let me see if I can do this real quick. 4A versus 2A. Okay.
I think this probably stems from like last week, Gunnar and Anna playing.
Correct. So, it's happened a couple of times this week. Do I have this right? Yeah, a lot of it is like... do I have this right? I think it's happened a couple of times. Like Houston, Washington beat Houston, Sam Houston. That's 6A. That's a 4A over 6A. You have... Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I get this right. It hasn't happened a ton.
You know what's funny?
New Home. So this is technically one. New Home beat Lubbock Cooper Liberty. That is a 2A over a 4A, but that is, I believe, the first game ever for Lubbock Cooper Liberty. Like their first game. Corrigan Camden beat Cleveland Tarkington. That is a 4A, or that's a 2A over 4A. So those would be.
What do you think? This is a follow-up Ashley Pickle question. What do you think is the classification deficit when you're going from 2 classes up? That would be the most impressive. Is it a 4A to 6A? Do you really? Man, I don't know. I think 2A to 4A, because you've got to think about the sheer number of kids.
Maybe.
Like, even a 4A program has a pretty deep. They at least have substantial 1s and 2s. When you're going from 2A to 4A, my argument would be that on a 4A team, you could have a totally separate offense from a totally separate defense. When you have 2A, they're playing both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
That would be my argument there. You've got kids that are guaranteed to be playing both sides of the ball.
That's fair.
Against kids that are way bigger than them coming fresh off of a big break.
Like for example, I can agree with that. I think because like for example, right now, and this is I'm gonna do some quick and dirty math. I'm gonna pick a mid-range 6A team. Okay. New Braunfels Canyon is 1-1 on the year. Let me do some math real quick. I'm trying to figure out what a computer ranking, like according to our computer rankings, what like a 4A team against us. So like we'll take Stephenville. Okay. Stephenville,
good 4A team.
Number 1 team. They would actually be favored.
Yeah. So that's why I literally think that the 2A to 4A range has got to be one of the most impressive.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can buy that. But I just know that like you're seeing like I think what I'm thinking of is a lot of what we've seen as far as punching up to 6A has been, and the high-profile ones have been like good 5A teams. Like South Oak Cliff, we know is very good. Punching up to a 6A team getting beat by multiple touchdowns.
But they also played Galena Park North Shore. You put South Oak Cliff against New Braunfels Canyon.
Yeah,
like
probably,
a mid one.
Win that game. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, what's next?
Let's go with which team is shaping up to be your like dark horse of the season.
We talked to one of them. Liberty-Eylau is one of them in 3A. Dark horse of the season. So presumably we're talking about a team that's a little bit off the beaten path that we think has an opportunity to make a run. I'm very interested in what Collinsville's got cooking.
Okay.
They entered the rankings this past week. I think Longview Pine Tree is for real.
Yes, that's a good one.
I am in on Pine Tree.
That is a good one.
This is the problem with doing a mailbag when I'm unprepared. Because I'm going to leave, like, we're 100% going to get off the air, and I'll be like, oh, I meant that one team.
Yep. I think Pine Tree was
Pine Tree
one.
Is certainly a team
They're giving off that Gilmer Harmony vibe from like 2 years ago.
There's a little bit to that. Let me see if I can find one more for you that I'm really interested in. Yeah, those are the ones that I think have really impressed me the most.
Because I feel like a team like, and this is funny because it's more regional biased. Like I feel like people would look at San Antonio's area and be like, oh yeah, like Cibolo Steel's doing well, blah blah blah. Like Alamo Heights, if you don't know, they could be one, but most people know.
From a brand name perspective, Alamo Heights has not been like playing for state championships, but like
no, but then you go, oh, who's Michael Terry? Yeah.
Because okay, here's another example. Humble Summer Creek could not have been more impressive the last 2 weeks. I think we have not talked enough about how good they have looked the first 2 weeks. We thought that this might be like a step back for them. They have looked so good. But you can't
Klein Cain.
Klein Cain
is another one on that same scale.
But you can't call Humble Summer Creek a
out of the blue.
They played the title game last year. But I think they've exceeded expectations. Two more. Galveston Ball.
Yeah. They just had such a good defense 2 years ago, but they're more well-rounded. Bay City,
New Diana.
They lost though.
New Diana. I'm in a New Diana, and this is you're gonna laugh at me.
Oh God.
Allen.
Oh, get out of here.
I'm just telling you.
Get out of here.
Allen was a team that was just like mid rankings, mid 6A ranking, like 20th or something like that.
Yeah, that's fair, but not in the minds of people.
I understand.
No one accepted the fact that they were so mid the past year or two.
I'm just saying. Okay, give me one more.
I've got two more. One of them's mine. The other one from Paul Roberts, whose football opinion you can trust, is Slayton a sleeper after upsetting Friona in overtime?
Yeah, I'm into what Slayton's got cooking. That's a team that I want to see a little bit more. They've got 2 good wins, right? They beat Friona in overtime, and then they kind of crushed Brownfield. I want to see what they do this week against New Deal. That is a game that I'm very interested in. Let me look this up. What does the computer say for that game? The New Deal is the favorite in this game, and so I want to see if they can go out there and get that win. If they do that, I'm into Slayton, or if they keep it close. But as far as exceeding expectations are concerned, I think that's a team that I've already been very impressed with the first 2 weeks. And let me take a look at their district real quick. You're watching live coverage of me digging in on the Slayton on the Slayton Tigers real quick. Yeah, so they've still got they're only in 5-team districts. They got a ton of non-districts still to play. They get New Deal and Post the next couple weeks. New Deal, Post, and Morton the next 3 weeks. If they go 2-1 in that stretch, I'm in. And then but the problem is that you look at their district, and their district is a combined 9-1 to start the year. Idalou, Muleshoe, Littlefield, Slayton, Lubbock, Roosevelt. They can already. I think they were clearly the 5th place team to start the year. Just to be honest, I think now they've risen to the part where they can challenge for a playoff spot. So I am impressed with what I've seen so far. Is that an adequate answer?
Yes.
No. Okay, that's fine.
Who should I take tonight, Buffalo or Miami? This one's giving me a lot of struggle. The game? Miami, the fish people. The land of the
you take people. The team with the better quarterback, right? Like, when in doubt, you take Josh Allen.
Yeah. Miami's favored by 2.5, so it's home
Mike
point.
Roach would agree.
Or home field.
Mike Roach is a Buffalo.
He is a big Bills fan. Okay, you know what? I'll do it. I'll take the Bills for Mike.
Take the Bills the points.
Yeah. Okay. Roach, this one goes out to you.
There you go. It's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Reminder, tomorrow night, Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight, 7:30 p.m., wherever you're watching this, plus on Texan Live, whip-around coverage of the biggest games across the Lone Star State. Thanks again to Brad Willard, the head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Leopards, for being our guest. And, of course, the GOAT, Craig Way, hopping on with us.
Correct.
For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We will see you Monday. Mega Monday. Texas Football Today.